There is a peculiar strength that only daughters know. It is the strength to smile through hunger so that those back home may eat. The strength to carry dreams that were never theirs alone. Some daughters do not merely leave home. They become home. And at only 18 years old, Tariro carried an entire family upon her shoulders. The silence between Tariro, Lucky, and the well-dressed stranger grew heavy. Mr. Doob smiled again, but this time his smile seemed impatient. So he asked, "Shall we go?" Before Tariro could answer, another voice interrupted. "Excuse me, young lady." An elderly woman carrying grocery bags approached them. She had been watching from a nearby bench for some time. Her eyes were gentle, yet sharp enough to read danger where others saw opportunity. She turned to Mr. Doob. "Is this your daughter?" The man hesitated. "Well, no." "Your niece?"
Hmm?
"Your relative?"
Hmm?
"Then why are you in such a hurry to take her away?" Mr. Doob forced a laugh. "I was only trying to help." The woman smiled politely, but her voice became firm. So was the snake when it offered Eve a shortcut. For a brief moment, Mr. Doob's face hardened. Without another word, he adjusted his jacket, muttered something under his breath, and disappeared into the crowd. Lucky let out a long sigh. "I told you." Tariro stood frozen, her heart pounding. The elderly woman placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "My name is Mrs. Kumalo. And yours?"
Tariro.
"What a beautiful name," Mrs. Kumalo said with a warm smile. Hope should never travel alone. For the first time since arriving in Johannesburg, Tariro felt that perhaps God had not forgotten her after all. Mrs. Kumalo listened patiently as Tariro explained everything. Orphaned childhood, the grandmother who had raised her, the younger siblings waiting in Zimbabwe, the cousin who never came, and the sleepless nights at the station. By the time she finished, Mrs. Kumalo's eyes glistened with tears. "My child," she said softly, "not every person who smiles is your friend, but not every stranger is your enemy." She took out a small notebook from her handbag. "I know a family looking for a housekeeper. They are decent people. The work is hard, but honest." Tariro clasped her hands together. "You mean I have a chance?" Mrs. Kumalo smiled. "My daughter, sometimes God's answers arrive wearing ordinary clothes." 2 days later, Tariro stood outside a beautiful suburban home. The trimmed hedges, colorful flowers, and polished windows looked like a different world from the dusty village she had left behind. Her palms were damp with nervousness. The gate slowly opened. A cheerful woman welcomed her. "You must be Tariro. Come in." The house was larger than every building in her village combined. She almost gasped aloud when she saw a machine washing clothes by itself. Back home, laundry had meant cold water, soap, and aching hands. Here, the machine hummed as if it enjoyed the work. She whispered to herself, "So, even buckets have retired here." The housekeeper who was training her overheard and burst into laughter. "My sister," she chuckled, "wait until you meet the vacuum cleaner. It eats dust without chewing." Both women laughed until tears filled their eyes. For the first time in weeks, Tariro laughed without fear. Life soon settled into a rhythm. She woke before sunrise, prepared breakfast, cleaned the house, washed, ironed, cooked. By nightfall, her feet ached. But unlike the cold nights at Park Station, she now had a warm bed, regular meals, and a roof over her head. Exhaustion had become a blessing. At the end of her first month, she received her salary. She stared at the crisp banknotes in disbelief. She counted once, twice, 3 times, then quietly slipped into her room and closed the door. She fell to her knees. "Thank you, Lord." Her tears fell freely. Not tears of sorrow, tears of relief. The following morning, she queued at a money transfer agency. When the cashier asked, "How much are you sending home?" she smiled proudly. "Almost all of it." "And you'll keep what for yourself?" She laughed. "Hope," Tariro replied. Hundreds of kilometers away, in a small rural village in Zimbabwe, grandmother stood outside the local grocery store, clutching the receipt. With trembling hands, "Your granddaughter sent this?" the shopkeeper said. The old woman's eyes filled with tears. She bought mealy meal, cooking oil, soap, sugar, school books. For the first time in months, there was enough food to fill every plate. That evening, Tino and little Rudo danced around the cooking fire. "We're having rice," Tino shouted. "And sugar in our porridge?" Rudo added excitedly. Grandmother looked toward the western horizon where the sun disappeared behind distant hills. "May God protect you, my child," she whispered. "You are carrying all of us." Months turned into years. Every month, money came. Every month, letters arrived. Every letter ended the same way. "Study hard. Listen to Gogo. I'll come home soon." The words became a promise repeated so often that even Tariro began to believe them. Life in the neighborhood introduced her to familiar faces. There was a lively Zimbabwean security guard who claimed he spoke 6 languages, though every sentence somehow ended in Shona. There was a Malawian cook who insisted his country's tea could cure everything, from headaches to heartbreak. "If tea cannot fix it," he declared proudly, "you simply haven't added enough leaves." The workers laughed so hard that even the employers sometimes peeked through the windows to see what all the commotion was about. Laughter became their medicine. For migrants, joy was often homemade. Next door worked a quiet young gardener named Tawanda. Unlike the others, he spoke little. He greeted everyone respectfully before returning to his flowers. Every morning, Tariro noticed that the roses in his garden seemed to bloom brighter than the rest. One afternoon, while hanging freshly washed clothes, she heard a familiar hymn drifting over the fence. She paused. The voice was rich, gentle, and full of longing. Without realizing it, she softly joined in. Across the fence, the singing stopped. "So," the unseen voice called with a laugh. "The neighbors know the second verse too?" Tariro laughed. "Only the beautiful songs." A young man slowly appeared from behind the roses, holding a watering can. So he smiled warmly. The flowers were not the prettiest thing next door after all. Tariro felt her cheeks grow warm. "You should water your roses," she replied quickly. "They're becoming as bold as their gardener." Both laughed. Neither knew that this simple conversation, born between roses and washing lines, would one day change the course of many lives. For some stories begin with thunder, others begin with a smile. Theirs began with a hymn carried gently across a garden fence. And while Tariro's heart slowly opened to love, destiny was quietly preparing a truth that she could not yet see. For every beautiful garden hides roots buried deep beneath the soil, and not every root nourishes life.